So I work for SonicWall, and I want to talk about defining a product vision and how do you drive towards it. I think the reason I chose this topic is because I think as a product manager, what I see is having a clear product vision is something which is very important, and which resonates with each and every cross-functional team member, so that you are able to carry on with your product journey and bring it to the next level in a very, very effective manner. Right? So I spoke with a few of you guys, but quick show of hands, who is looking forward to get into product management here, so that I have an idea, how many folks are towards it. Okay, fair enough. And I consider the rest of you are product managers already. So thanks a lot for being here. Feel free to contribute, and we can make it as much interactive as possible. Okay. Okay. So my journey. So originally started as an engineer. I think one of the best things that I felt I did around engineering was getting a lot of analytical skills, learning a lot about new technologies. Back in 2002 to 2006 time, wherein I got to learn a lot about the growing era around software and also hardware, and the impact of technology in general on our lives. So that was really a pretty rewarding experience. Straight out of school, got a chance to start working with in the telecom space, a company called Tech Mahindra back in India. It's a global IT services and solutions provider. Previously, it was focused on telecom, and I think one of the good things that happened in that job was I started to work as a developer to understand what it takes to actually bring a particular code to life. And what was very enjoyable is to see something that you have done that is creating an impact on so many people's lives around telecom. So worked on a lot of things around broadband, around telecom operations, and many other areas in telecom. During that time, I started feeling that I want to work more on to developing certain solutions, certain products, and that was an opportunity for me to start trending towards what I want to do around product management. So working with customers, understanding their problems, designing solutions, and bringing it through the entire product lifecycle process around development, testing, and also deployment. That was something that I was doing. However, what I realized is this is something that I can keep doing, but I want to do something more around building actually a business around a product line, and that is something that can be done by possibly gaining some more skill set around what it takes to actually build a business. That's when I chose to do my MBA, and I came to the US and started studying at UC Irvine. Great school, and one of the biggest takeaways from that particular time at UCI was immersing yourself in diverse culture. So diverse in terms of people from different backgrounds, and working in small groups, somebody who is in finance, in marketing, in HR, and myself coming from technology. How do we work together and solve case studies? How do we work on projects? How do we build certain business strategy plans, etc. Apart from that, I think what really I loved about my again going back to school for my MBA was tinkering with new things around product management, wherein no more I was thinking about just building a code or maybe getting a deployment done, but I was thinking more about what it takes to actually identify the right set of problems that we need to go after in order to start building product. How do we validate those problems, what it takes to do customer interviews, how I work on things around focus groups, and start building a plan towards things that maybe I want to achieve a year down the line as a product manager, right? Now, coming from a technology background and also telecom background, I got a chance to start working as an intern with McAfee. The new McAfee, previously it was called Intel Security because Intel acquired McAfee when I was working with them. And at Intel Security, what I really enjoyed doing was working in an organization which had a lot of processes in place in a large organization around product management, around product marketing, around go-to-market, around sales and multiple other things, right? So coming with that angle, I felt that this is something that I want to continue doing. And after my graduation, I started working full-time. Now, I actually interned in a consumer security product line. However, after graduation, I was exploring options, and I thought, let me try something new. And I got a chance to start working in the enterprise domain. So I will probably, tailor my conversation more around enterprise product management as compared to consumer product management. So that's the disclaimer here. Maybe we can take some kind of takeaways that I had from consumer domain as well. Now, as part of my McAfee experience, I got a chance to work on multiple product lines in security. Then it was called Intel Security, as I mentioned. Now, that allowed me to really bring to my table, things that I've learned at school, things that I've done in the past, and how do I start working with customers and building all those beautiful business models, the kind of user stories that a product manager has to do. Did that for a few years, and then I got interested in doing something new. Opportunity showed up. I started doing a pricing manager role, and I started working in the mother Intel, and I was doing something in the new technology group in drones. So commercial drone solutions, what it takes to price, do costing, etc., bringing profitability, and did that for probably a year or so, and then another opportunity showed up, and I started working with SonicWall. So at SonicWall, I do product management for the management platform for multiple SonicWall products. And that's where my journey is right now. Some of the key elements that as a person I feel is you need to be a constant learner, and you need to be a quick learner about anything, new things in life in order to be good at product management. May that be sports, or may that be art, or anything that you want to do, so that you constantly have the perspective of knowing more about things that are existing or things that you want to try new. Along with that, I would say family is very important for me, and I feel that kind of value comes to my work as well, wherein having that connection with your team, may that be from different backgrounds, and also ensuring that you understand other person's opinion, and the constraints or driving factors is very important for a product manager. And I'll talk about that more as we move further. Right? Now, how will you go about defining vision for a product like these? Right? There are so many new mobile phones in the consumer domain that are coming up. There are so many new versions of phones that are coming up. There are so many new vendors that are there in the market, and we have newer vendors that are coming up as well, right? So as a product manager, it's a difficult task to actually define a product vision, but having a clear vision is so important in order for yourself and your cross-functional team to identify where we are heading, right? And that's where the entire thought process around product vision comes. And vision without an execution it's kind of no use. So defining a vision and driving towards it is another task. That's the reason I've defined the topic in that way. If you think about enterprise domain, then you are working with different levers. And in an enterprise domain, for example, I just picked up ERP. Then there are various touch points for your product. And if you can imagine, there are multiple user stories, numerous users, and also enormous number of pain points that you have to think about, you have to understand, and you have to assimilate, and you have to build solution towards. Right? So how do you go about doing that is something that product vision is going to help you. Now, if I may ask you, each one of us likes to do certain things with certain products. And I'm sure that amongst the list of products, there will be maybe 1 or 2 products or something that you really love. Maybe that it's your phone, or maybe it's your device, or maybe something that you enjoy eating or something, right? So think about that product, and maybe for a few seconds, the vision that you feel is behind that product. If you are a product manager, right? How will you go about defining the vision for that particular product? Maybe you want to talk about certain qualities of the product, right? Or if you are talking about an eatable, maybe you're talking about certain flavors of the eatable, right? Or if you're talking about technology, maybe you're talking about a platform, or maybe a certain differentiating feature, etc., right? But does that really come as part of a vision is something that we should ask ourselves. Now, with that in mind, right, I'm going to talk about vision in terms of what I feel based on the products that I'm working on. Okay? Now, the product vision, in my opinion, it's a concise statement, right, that allows maybe an internal person within an organization or maybe a customer to get the value of the product. Right? Now, if I talk about security, the space that I'm working in, right, then security is, in general, a huge domain in itself. Right? If I talk about, within security, there are products wherein you have device-based security, right? You have, huge security operations that are there that need to be taken care of. There is data security, right? There are multiple other security, oriented products. So how will you go about defining the vision, right? Is something that it's a good question to ask for a product manager. Now, in my opinion, what influences the product vision is, or where do you start, kind of, is the customer segment, the pain points, the vision of the company, and a competitive differentiation. Right? Now, if you are working in a smaller organization, in a security smaller organization, maybe, if I pick it up, and if I see that, all right, there is a huge amount of usage of cloud applications that I see, right, in the enterprises, and I see that there is a need around having improved data security for information to be secured across devices, across cloud applications, or whenever a user is trying to access certain information through the cloud. So how do you go about defining that vision? Right? Now, I can be as broad as possible, but the more specific that I am, the easier and the better I am able to define my product journey. Let me explain. If I think about the usage of cloud applications, it's being used in large enterprise organizations. It's been used in smaller enterprise organizations. It's also used in small businesses or mom and pop shops. It's also being used by consumers. Right? So you need to define who your target audience is, and then understand what kind of problems that you want to go after. Okay? If I think about small businesses, then out here I am trying to define a segment where maybe there are there are organizations which have maybe 25 or 100 users in the office, and for them I'm going to define my product vision. The number of applications will be kind of lower as compared to an enterprise organization, right? So the pain problem, or the customer problem that I'm solving are starkly different as compared to an enterprise organization, right? Now, if I consider, an enterprise which has 50,000 people, right, then the problems that an IT administrator or a security administrator who needs to ensure that all the corporate data is secured for each and every individual who is accessing multiple cloud applications, it's a entirely different problem as compared to maybe a smaller organization. So knowing that particular customer segment and pain points is extremely important. The other two items are around so first of all, the company vision. If I'm working in a startup, then the vision is something that is part of the product's vision itself. However, if I am working in an organization such as my current organization, there are multiple product lines that I'm dealing with, or we are dealing with, and there's an organizational vision that we have. So how exactly my product is going to create a differentiator in the market and also kind of align with the company vision is something which is very important, right? Now, if I'm able to do that once, twice on a regular basis, right, then it becomes a very, very effective kind of process. Now, vision is something that is not going to happen in a day or so, right? If you have maybe an existing product line, then maybe tweaking certain things in the product vision is going to help you, come up with a better plan towards what you want to do. But if you are working on a new product, then identifying what kind of references you have and how your product is going to create value for the user and also for the company, those are very important factors to be considered in the product vision, right? The last thing is around competitive differentiation, and if you think about two products, for example, two security products. One is a very effective security product, and the other comes into the market, and the other product also says that I'm also effective. Right? Then what's really the difference between the two? Right? However, if the new product that is coming to the market is trying to showcase how it is providing an integrated security experience which allows you to lower down your overall costs, or which allows you to be better protected across different threat vectors, right? Then that becomes a very, very strong differentiation. Right? The ultimate goal obviously is to keep people secured, but how do you communicate that is based on considering all these four items that I'm talking about, right? Now, product vision shouldn't be specific to a product itself. For example, if I consider endpoint security, right? I don't see that a product vision is we provide better security to individuals so that they are able to have the confidence behind any data or the device that they're accessing, right? Maybe the product vision can be we make you use your device worry-free. Right? That is a product vision that maybe we have for endpoint security. Now, that vision is something that each and every cross-functional team member, along with whatever product plans that you have, right, is the reference point for you. It is not really saying that, hey, the product that we are building is one of the best products that is there in the market, or it provides the best security in the market, right? That is something that slowly, steadily you want to define as part of your product strategy. But a product vision is, as many people say, it's like a North Star that allows you to stay focused. Right? If I think about management or security operations kind of vision, it can be we want to simplify security operations for enterprises, okay? Or we want to reduce the overall security costs for small businesses, right? So that is a vision towards which we want to keep moving as a security management product, right? So that's where the entire thought process around product vision comes in. Who are the key players involved? Right? As a product manager, I don't expect that I am someone who is going to be the creator of the vision and all the words and the thought process is just mine. That's not really the case. A product manager is someone who comes in, who works with team members, who understands what kind of thought process each person has to offer, who knows what maybe the product architecture has to offer, who knows how exactly the company vision is going to evolve, who understands what kind of customer segment we are going after, and helps craft the vision, which is a joint kind of project or a joint vision for the particular team or the particular organization. So in terms of who are involved out here, I would say if I'm starting the product vision, I will probably socialize it initially with my own leadership team within my product organization to see what the line of thinking is. Right? I will socialize it with my marketing team. I will socialize it with my sales team. I'll socialize it with my engineering team, right? Because each and every person, right, from a different perspective who is working in the organization has a reason, right, why he can offer certain value to the product vision because of the expertise that they have, right? Along with it, if I think about leadership, then in maybe a mid-sized organization or a large organization, leadership team sits at a level where they are taking care of driving the company ahead, right? So getting their perspective is utmost important. But we have key players, unnoticed leaders, who are working actually as part of the product itself, right? Whose perspective are even more valuable to have. Right? So I would say having some kind of engineering leadership or marketing leadership or other cross-functional leadership's perspective around how you're building the product vision is something which is a useful thing to do. What's the plan to bring the vision to life? Now let's consider all of us are working on this vision, and we have nailed down the vision, and we feel that this is something that is a good reference to have, and we feel that this is a differentiator. And based on feedback from other members and also some kind of market validation, we want to keep moving ahead on this particular plan. But what to do next? How do we bring this to life? Right? That's where the key elements around product management come in. Where do you start? The first thing that you got to do is understand the customer. Right? Day in, day out, you have to figure out who my customer is, what problems he's facing, what kind of issues he or she has, and how I'm going to go about solving those. And out here, I feel from working with different organizations, there has to be good structure. In terms of you need to have good templates in place to ensure that you are bringing the right set of information and keeping it for reference so that you keep those pain points and the customer problems evolving. And what I mean by that is there are various tools around product management that are there in the market, or maybe using an Excel or Word document itself. But when you do the first interview, second interview, fifth interview, the 10th interview, and you keep going on, you will uncover so many new things about the same customer segment that you are going after. Right? Apart from that, if you're trying to launch a new product for a new segment, right, then this allows you to understand the vocabulary, right? This allows you to understand the key driving factors behind why someone is really considering a particular product. Right? You also start understanding who are some of the key competitors that in the segment itself the customer is thinking about. Right? What kind of features are going to help solve certain problems, right? So those are really, really important factors behind driving the product ahead. Moving forward, The other part of the most important role about a product manager is having a strong business model, and the business model keeps evolving each quarter, every 6 months, every year. And what I mean by that is, as I mentioned, there can be a perspective that you want to increase the revenue for a particular product line, or you want to increase the attach rate for a particular platform itself. It is a business model that every quarter you are referring and you are enhancing every quarter, right? And the reason I'm saying that is every launch that you are doing, right, has certain goals, right? And in order for you to meet those goals, you have to refer to multiple things so that you are improving the business model. So obviously, in a for-profit organization, the goal here would be to drive revenues for sure, right? But how do you go about doing that is where a distilled business model can help you drive. And a business model is something that allows you to get in front of execs from each and every cross-functional team in order for you to get their buy-in and ensure that there are certain problems that each of the teams have observed that needs to be as part of the business model, right? For example, if I see that I've identified the customer segment really well, the pain points are evolving based on a lot of interviews that we are having with the customer segment, the value proposition, right? If the value proposition is not coming out in the right manner, right, the product won't be able to survive because of the story that we are telling. Right? If the story that I'm telling regarding my product is all about my management platform, how it is going to help drive a particular product line, right, as compared to other products, then is that an effective story? That's where when you start dealing with cross-functional team members, right, you get that perspective, and you also understand there is a lot amount of learning for a product manager, right, that you have to go through on a regular basis. Right? Out here, one of the key elements that I see is pricing and packaging. In many of the organizations, pricing packaging falls under marketing, right? I would say I've been fortunate that I've been able to drive pricing packaging as part of my efforts. The reason being, it allows me to, apart from getting the product built, understand how the product is going to get consumed. Now, if I consider security, right, the segment that I am in, right, a product can be directly bought by an end customer. The end customer might buy it directly from my organization or through certain partner value chain. I was actually at a business plan competition. I was judging there, and I was talking to a co-judge, and it brought me a whole different perspective. He came from a manufacturing organization, and he said that no business plan should be started without having projections. And that kind of hit me. I'm like, how does it really matter? So in a manufacturing organization, revenue projection is extremely important, because unless you have not done a huge amount of cost analysis, profitability analysis, and the right set of projections, you can't invest into manufacturing, right? And that's something that I never thought about, but it was quite an eye-opener for me, because projections was something that I was considering later as part of the entire business model. Now, competitive analysis. This is something that I learned during my MBA, Porter's four-corner analysis. Before that, I used to do a number of SWOT analysis, but that was kind of limited, in my opinion. The four-corner analysis allows you to go above and beyond SWOT analysis. And the reason behind that is it allows you to understand an overall company's strategy behind the particular product. What I mean by that is, I was in one of my previous organizations, I was doing competitive analysis, for one of the security vendors, and what I realized is that leadership has certain goals, that they are going after. In case if they are provided a very clear perspective around how a product line or how a portfolio that is evolving in a particular organization, right, which is a key competitor of ours, right, is going to impact in the short term and in the long term based on the motivations that the company has, based on the actions that the company is taking for the last 6 months to a year, right, and based on the partnerships maybe that the company is having, right. Those are really important factors that go behind a product line. Now, as a product manager, when I start thinking about a competitor's product not just as a bunch of features, but how the product line is evolving, that allows me to really comprehend what are some of the things that maybe I need to start thinking about in the short term and the long term in order to create the right impact on my product line. Now, how exactly it is going to help you, in your product vision is based on, the business model that we just talked about, right? The business model, along with a strong competitive analysis, is going to help you build the product line towards the future, rather than just focusing on short-term goals, right? For example, a competitor comes up with one feature. Hey, I need to quickly follow up. I need to, build that feature in the next release. But in the long term, how that is going to help, that is something that maybe a comprehensive analysis will allow you to do. So I will encourage you guys to take a look at this in detail as well. So after you do all this, you build the product vision, okay? And as I said before, product vision is a whole process in itself, right? If you have a simple product, then obviously a product vision can be, a single line that you can probably come up in 2 days or 3 days. But if you are actually working on a portfolio or a complex product, then the product vision has to evolve, and it keeps evolving over time. But once you have the reference point, the next thing starts around driving the product vision internally, right? No customer is going to understand the product vision unless each of your team members cross-functionally understands the product vision. In terms of project management, right? So project management involves so many different, functions you have to do as project manager. Ensure that deliveries are in time. You have to take care of certain issues. Maybe somebody resigned in a team, and the entire timeline has gone for a toss. Then how do you take care of all that around different product lines? But within this particular set of difficult environment, if the project management is aware about, hey, this is the vision that we have for the product, then accordingly the person is able to prioritize based on short-term and long-term goals, right? If I talk about sales enablement, in an organization, enterprise organization, which involves selling software or hardware through multiple set of channel partners, right? In an organization where there is huge amount of hands-off sales that happen, right? Having the right amount of a right set of content tools, sales enablement tools, right? Around pitching documents, right? Around presentations, that is crucial. If the person or the group of people who are able to understand the overall product vision, and they are creating the content, then think about the crispness and the value that content is going to create for the product. The success of the product is not really defined just by a particular feature. It is like a concert, like an orchestra, wherein there are so many people who are going to work towards making this product successful, right? That's where most of the successful products are right now. You can think about any names that you have maybe in technology, may that be in consumer products, etc. It's not just a product manager's or an engineer's job that has created such a beautiful product. There are a lot of factors that have come together to making the product successful. Sales and partners, and then support and documentation. I have a very interesting experience around documentation. I feel that many a times documentation of a product, right, talking about enterprise product, happens at the end, in the end, or maybe as part of the overall launch cycle. I think document is the first thing that any user or anybody who's trying to understand the product sees. So having the product vision that is imbibed in person who is writing the document, because the product manager is not going to sit and write a product guide. Right? Maybe in some organizations they do, but if the product is is going to last for the next 5 or 10 years, there are multiple people who are going to touch the documentation. Right? So how the documentation person writes the document so that it resonates with the user, but it also tells the story of the product's vision, right? What the product is all about. It is extremely important. Now, if you think about, if all the functions, if all the teams are really understanding the product vision really well, right? And behind the product vision, there is a strong business model, large amount of competitive analysis and everything that's done, that's where you will start seeing success for the product. The goals that you have defined for the product in the short term and in the long term, right? For example, if you're thinking about maybe increasing the presence of the product in the market by maybe starting a promo, right? However, in the long term, you see that increasing the presence of the product in the market by having strong integrations with third-party technologies, right? Or creating or coming up with a new API-based strategy so that your products start having API integrations with a lot number of other technologies out there, right? That is something that is going to happen as a byproduct, as a fruitful outcome when all these things are going to come together as a whole, right? Championing the product journey. Right? So I think I went through a bunch of things here, but as a product manager, what I feel is, along with few other things, I'll just pick up product advocacy for now. Out here, I feel that extensive communication is extremely important as a product manager. Right? Maybe in some organizations there are processes wherein on a quarterly basis, there are reviews that are happening, and cross-functional team members are socializing and also formally talking about and discussing product lines, the product vision, and where we are going, and what's the roadmap, etc. However, there are organizations, maybe there is no structure, right? Maybe a startup which is trying to just keep moving and wants to create an impact, and there's hardly any processes. But as a product manager, if you are able to suddenly pause the entire team and say that, let's take out 30 minutes on a quarterly basis and communicate that vision, that will go a long way for that particular organization. May that be a small or a large organization, but that's my perspective, right? And product advocate, so once you're a product advocate, right, so you're like a moving product itself, right? Anything that you are doing, right, any presentation that you are delivering, or any conversations that you are having with any of your engineers or sales or marketing person, right, since you are trying to drive this vision, it will automatically start coming up as part of your conversations in some way or manner, right? Being a product advocate is extremely important in order to be a successful product manager. If you don't believe in the product, then you're just doing certain thing for the sake of it. Right? But I have been fortunate that whatever products that I've worked with, I have enjoyed those. Right? And whatever products I'm choosing, I'm thinking about how exactly this product is going to evolve, and is this something that I'm going to enjoy doing for a good period of my time. Moving forward, win-loss analysis, right? This is in the enterprise domain extremely important because in the world that we are in, organizations are evolving so much that large organizations keep investing in newer technologies. Given that maybe another large organization or maybe a smaller organization, how do you actually go about winning that particular business, getting that deal, right? You can only learn that by doing win-loss analysis, right? What are some of the reasons why you won the deal? What are some of the reasons why maybe you were not even considered, right? That allows you to understand a lot about your product. In security, if I consider, compliance is very important. One of my friends here, I just met him. He mentioned that reporting is very important in his domain. And I'm like, yeah, actually it makes sense. And the reason being, in security as well, reporting is very important. Right? Compliance standards need to be met. So how important is knowing about that as part of my win-loss analysis? Until and unless I don't understand that, based on some of the deals that I'm losing, I won't be able to prioritize certain things. Extremely important. Prototyping and beta. Out here, one of the questions was getting some research or primary research is extremely tough. But beta is the chance wherein you can know more about the user, right? A beta is specific to certain features or certain minimum viable product that you're launching. But again, I'll go to the same comment. Reach out to that particular user, give a call to the user, and that unlocks a lot of other opportunities around things, around improvements in the product or problems in the product that you will never know. Because when maybe an engineer is testing the product, or maybe a sales guy is trying to pitch the product or install the product for the customer, they work in certain way. However, when the actual user is using the product, you learn so much about shortcomings, about something that works really well, and some differentiation as well. Okay. The rest of the things are quite self-explanatory. I want to pick up just one point here: marketing insights. Now, I know that a product manager need not be I would say a marketing guy who is good at understanding what content is written, how SEO, SEM works, what kind of lead management is happening, etc. But spending some time with marketing allows you to understand how they are going about talking about the product in the market. Right? Is that the right way in which they should be talking about the product? Right? Based on all the customer analysis, win-loss analysis, since you know what are some of the key terms around marketing or around the product itself that are jumping out, having that information fed into the marketing team is going to be extremely useful. Apart from that, you will also learn new things around, hey, some of the terms or some of the things around SEO, SEM that competitors are doing that you're not even aware, right? So you learn so much about the insights from competition as well through working with marketing. And lastly, in content development, it's a separate effort, and people are experts. People do that as well, right? However, I feel that as a product manager, you need to start writing. Because when you start writing, right, in terms of a blog or maybe building presentations that get used in sales enablement activities, or maybe some kind of I don't know, being part of certain research and providing insights regarding that particular domain, right? It helps you evolve as a product manager and also bring a different perspective towards any content that is getting developed in your organization for your own product line or maybe in general for your organization. So that is something that I feel has been useful for me, and I'll encourage any aspirants to take a look at that. This is my last slide, and what I'm going to talk about is, in my opinion, what are some of the things that a visionary product manager has? Right? What are some of the skill sets? So nobody is born with all the skill sets, but something that anybody who is in product management today, or anybody who is aspiring to become one, right, can slowly, steadily leverage or start learning. Being proactive, right? Being proactive about issues that are regarding the product, right? Maybe a support call, or maybe certain pricing issue, or maybe certain feature is not working, etc. Right? Being proactive by going and talking to people, right? Introducing yourself, knowing your organization, right? How many of the product managers, I would say, knows most of the engineering, most of the marketing, most of the sales people who are part and parcel of bringing the product to life, making the product successful. Right? Being proactive is extremely useful. Collaborative leader. Right? Leadership is all about not a title. I'd say leadership is all about getting into a situation, sorting that situation out, and bringing that particular group of people or that particular issue or state to the next level. I would say as a product manager, once you start investing your time and resources into talking to people, working on these kind of cross-functional projects, you automatically become a leader. But the most important thing out here as a leader is being a very, very strong listener. I feel that over time, when you gain experience, when you start launching so many products, you feel that you know the lay of the land. You know so many things about your product line, or things around the product line or the ecosystem. But that's not really the case. Right? There is heavy amount of learning that a product manager can have each day by each and every person. And my philosophy in general is any person that I meet, right? I met most of you here for the first time, but I'm learning so much from you guys because of certain things that you're talking, certain perspectives that you have. Right? And those are very important factors for me. Think about it when I'm actually building a product, maybe for one of you, who knows, right? Risk taker. I would say there are certain decisions that you need to make as a product manager, right, that might drive the product in one direction or the other. Right? Or there are certain decisions that you need to make in terms of certain features. Right? There are two features that are at par with each other, but they are targeting different segments. Then which segment do you want to go after? Right? Maybe there's one particular segment that you are serving. There are two features that are that need to be delivered. Right? Sales is calling you and say that, dude, if you don't deliver this in the next quarter, I'm going to face maybe certain X dollar or maybe $1 million hit. Right? Then what risk will you take, and how do you ensure that maybe you are able to not meet certain expectations, but the risk that you're taking is going to allow you to generate more revenue in the other direction. That is something that a product manager has to do. There's heavy amount of data analysis that you can do, but you will reach a point wherein you can take a call based on all the activities that you're doing around win-loss analysis, around customer interaction, around product roadmaps, and bunch of other things that as a product manager you're driving. Okay. And lastly, I would just say I love being a product manager. I think it is one of the best things that have happened to me. And each day I wake up, I enjoy that. Hey, being a product manager is so rewarding for me because it is helping me think differently, right? And I'm evolving as a person. I'm able to move forward in my career, and lastly, I'm able to bring newer experiences that are helping people in all walks of life. Security is big and it touches upon all industries. So that is something that I'm enjoying doing. And I would say if you really want to do it, then you got to love it. You got to love working with people, talking to different functions, learning from different individuals, and keep moving ahead.